What is happening, people? How are you brewing? Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. Very warm welcome to everybody. It's the PMQ stream, Deputy PMQs. Angela Rayner at the dispatch box for 2 weeks in a row. I suppose to see what's happening there. Let's get off to a fantastic start though, people. Make sure that we've hit that thumbs up button. That would be marvellous. Yeah, there's still some ongoing restrictions with previous streams. Should I say, for anybody watching back later on. A couple of them are past review, but some of them still under review. I've had to trim out segments and stuff. Anyway, there's lots of ways that you can support the channel. You can share on your social media as well. Right, I'm just going through final preparations. We'll get a bit warmed up. Floor Snake was first in the chat. We've got Doc Davies as well. Mobius, Politics Clive, great to see you. Floor Snake once again got the crown. But now you've abdicated. Thank you very much, Conrad Floor Snake. That's very honourable of you, I do have to say. So this stream is now once again a republic. Let the people be freed from their theistic shackles. The monarchy is hereby dissolved. Thank you very much, Floor Snake. Props to you. And now that the people are free, the monarchy is overthrown. Let us rejoice in the streets. And from now on, there will be peace and bread for all. Yeah, so like thanks or whatever. No, I do love that attitude. And watermelons as well, and Palestine flags in the chat already. Marvellous. More on Gaza to come later in the stream after PMQs. I've got some other UK politics stuff, some US politics as well. I still can't believe it's just been 5 months with Trump. I really can't. I remember saying that I wouldn't be short of talking points or content. It has been very difficult to keep up, as imagined. I didn't have. There wasn't a My Left Eye when Trump was first in office, so boy, it's taken some keeping up with. Yeah, you got Crane twice. Floor Snake. What are you, like Napoleon or something? That was a really good one, you know. Helping overthrow the monarchy, then declaring himself emperor. Of course, you see, he favoured a monarchy and religion to placate the masses. We shan't be silent, people. Oh, that's interesting. I was just about to give thanks to the members on the channel. That's... oh, right, okay. Let's, I can remedy this. I've just updated the members list. I've just got to... that should be it. Yes. So thank you very much, everybody. This is the latest hot off the press updated list of all of the members, all of whom I very much appreciate your long-standing support, or whether you're a new member or a long-term viewer. Solidari-Tea. Yeah, it's just 99p if you want to join this list. There's other ways that you can support the channel. Super chat is open. Super thanks if you're watching back later. And there's a buy me a coffee page in the channel description as well. And Morbius is hot on it. Hot on it. Right on it. With a hot gifting membership. Thank you very much for that, Mo. Do appreciate that. So you beat me to it as well. I've got to update that membership goal now. We got to 102 on yesterday's stream, but it appears that 11 people didn't renew. Upcoming membership renewals. Thank you very much again for that, Morbius. That gets us back towards the 100 target. Seems to keep frustratingly oscillating above and below for a few weeks now, but we're going to break through, people. The revolution. The tea revolution. Yes, Broodism, Christianity, whatever they'll call it. It's not a cult. It's a movement. It's a power movement. But not in that ridiculous Andrew Tate alpha male sense. In the people power sense. Yes, Doc. I like that attitude. I like the vibe. Let's break on through. Was it the doors? Break on through to the other side. I do believe it was. So yeah, 92. Or I should say 93, as we welcome Katie as well. Thank you very much for that, Katie. Solidari-Tea, which makes it 93. No, Thornsnake. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. About the different names. Well, I was kind of referring to what others might call it when it happens, the tea revolution. Or should we decide and name ourselves democratically, of course? Asterix, yeah, this is just a bit of in-joke banter, not seriously plotting anything, you know. You can't be too careful these days. I mean, just look at what happened to Pal Action, which I'll be getting into later, of course. I'm really pissed off about that. I hope that comes up at Deputy PMQs. See what Angela Raynaud's got to say about it. Yeah. Oh, and later on I've got Pat McFadden interview, but not the Pat McFadden experience, which is another mini feature on the show. It's the real, actual Pat McFadden, not the one with the incredibly talented professional impersonator whom we hired doing the voices. So what was he on about there? Yeah, will it be Brewdayism or Broodism? Or Christianity? I'm not sure. But you bring up the possibility of factionalism. I don't think Lenin would, I don't think anyone would like that. We're not having factionalism. KTS Melstride, I know of Melstride. I'll do my best to get emotionally prepared. It's going to be on some pub quiz question or something in a few years about, you know, politics. Who the fuck is Melstride? No, there's plenty of here by day, gone by nights around at the moment. Forgive my ignorance, people. I've not brought you into the matter yet, so let's get you on the screen and let the people be seen. I've got to try and stop doing that. Or I might, you know, I might just go with it. But here we are, and here you are. Great to see you, people. I'm leaning towards, just back to the hypothetical name for the tea movement. I'm leaning towards Broodism at the moment. It has a reputation for calmness and peace, that is. I can't say I do prescribe to Buddhism or any other religion. However, it does have those connotations. It's got that sort of reputation. The actual, you know, established religion that it's a pun of. Yeah. Well, we'll wait till it happens, you know, the tea revolution. I've heard the Chukov's on board, and it could be go time any moment. We're going to be meeting Molotov in the underground car park at 2 AM. No, I'm joking, of course. Mr. Pike Bishop, great to see you. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the chat. crossing the Rubicon. I'm liking that one, Politics Clive. For anyone who's new to the streams or the channel, even, if you're wondering what abject nonsense we're talking about at the moment, we're open to tea-based puns, as might be obvious, per the title of the stream. Chris, how you doing? Usually lean towards the ground. I guess that makes sense. Can't argue with that. I'll be getting straight into PMQs this week. People, I've kind of exhausted my reserves of comedy clips. On yesterday's stream, so yeah, straight into that. And I don't want another Becking 0-0 draw this week. I think there's a good I said this last week though. I think there's a good chance, considering what's happening in the news. And then they dodged the gauntlet, they ran the gauntlet, dodged security and deal. So this is the game that we're playing along, by the way, Keith's Catchphrases. See, I've always got to think from the perspective of somebody who is new to the channel. All are welcome here, just to explain little mini features and stuff. But the defence spending has got to come up, and I'm pretty sure it could be a high scoring contest this week, even though I've not seen it at all. I haven't seen any excerpts. I've seen a few thumbnails flying around. That's obviously too difficult to dodge. And apart from the opening few words when I upload the clip to the broadcast software, it's all new to me. But the first couple of minutes are very repetitive and procedural, aren't they? How do I think the NATO summit is going? Well, I'll get onto that later actually. Yeah, this sort of ties in with the defence spending as well. We're not the only country who are seemingly gearing up for war, at least financially. And so I have had my left eye on that topic as well. Stick around. Okay, I think we're all good to go. Guitar guy, how you doing?
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole.
Plan for change.
Deliver.
Black hole. Plan for change.
Deliver.
Black hole. Plan for change.
Deliver.
Black hole. Plan for change.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it's Keith's Catchphrases, and you can see some former contenders there. It's very difficult to get through any session of PMQs without hearing deliver, plan, change, black hole, etc. So there are Some rules, just a few of them. It's a pretty simple game. And the rules are as follows. It has to be Keir Starmer who says the phrase. There are two phrases pitted against one another. Not baited though, that's grotesque and certainly cruel. Second rule, contenders, the phrases get knocked out after 2 losses in a row, 2 successive losses, and you're out of there. 3 slight variations on the word are allowed, such as past and future tense, etc. and pluralisation. Alright, I think that's about it. I said pluralisation like that. Katie, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships at Solidari-Tea. Marvellous. I can take that to 98 now. Very kind of you. Awesome stuff. So if there are any questions on the rules, I'm going to get started anyway, and I'll just assume that you can sort of keep up as we get along, because I want it to be a high scoring one, as I said. These are the current contenders. We have security, which I think is going to be doing pretty well this week. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it should make for an entertaining game. And also deal. So you'll hear this noise when either of those phrases is mentioned, and we'll keep score just here on the left hand side of your screen. So it was, as it was last week, 0-0 still, and it was actually a 0-0 draw the last 2 weeks in a row, which is a first. We've had a few first time incidents recently. The defeat of long-term champion Postman Twat, who it turns out has given me a sort of subliminal psychological disease known as deliveritis, which actually no, that would the naming of that would suggest some of the field of medicine. But yeah, I'll see how I do this week. Hopefully I won't get triggered. It really is hard, actually. Not that's the strongest one, but when any former contender gets mentioned, Doc, you think it'll be low scoring? Yes, of course. The obvious caveat for this week's it's Angela Rayner who has to say the phrase, not Keir Starmer. Off we go.
We now come to questions to the Prime Minister. Mike Tart.
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been asked to reply as my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, was attending the NATO summit in The Hague. At this time of international volatility, we are working with our allies to de-escalate the tensions in the Middle East and to ensure the conflict does not intensify further.
I don't think us and other European countries are like increasing spending of GDP. That is around like 3 to 5%. Doesn't sound like de-escalation to me. Or sending jets to refuel IDF Air Force aircraft either.
Our aim continues to be preventing Iran from securing nuclear weapon and to urge the Iranians to return to negotiations.
Okay, right, yeah, okay. You know, that's it then. Job done. Everybody can piss off and go home and have a cup of Solidari-Tea because they haven't got any. They haven't got any. I'm just not swallowing that. They can repeat it however many times they like. Whether it's Starmer, Rayner, Lammy, Trump, whomever. I do not believe for one moment that is either the situation now or Iran's intent to acquire nuclear weapons. If they had solid evidence, they'd be waving it from a mountaintop and screaming for all to hear. But no, it's just suggestion. It's trying to manufacture consent purely by rhetoric and hyperbole. They're all at it. They're all at it. Don't know how you feel about that, people, but I feel like they're trying to take us for idiots.
Mr. Speaker, the situation in Gaza remains the gravest concern. Seeing the return of more hostages' bodies and that of Shay Leveson and the Israeli with British family is heartbreaking. That's
really not the main issue concerning Gaza. That's an Israeli issue. That's not really a Gaza issue. I don't think that you can make me feel nearly as concerned for that situation as I do for what's happened in Gaza. Yes, I do actually hope that the hostages get returned, but the fact that that comes up at the beginning of what Angela Rayner is talking about when she mentions Gaza is, yeah, very telling indeed.
The remaining hostages must be released, and while aid must be delivered at greater speed and volume. Mr. Speaker, this week is Armed Forces Week. Our commitment to armed forces is unwavering. The Strategic Defence Review outlines
another gifted membership from Casey Marshall. Thank you very much for that. Oh, that brings us within one. Start doing it auction style. Thanks again for that, Katie. A wonderful support there. And so then we have... Oh, what a tease. Okay, brilliant. That takes over 100 with that second. And Andy Sleepy Pazuzu and Amun Ra. Hope that you enjoy your perks if you're watching. Thanks again for that, Katie. Now, should I just back to the game PMQs? I'm anticipating a security here. Let's see if we can get something on the scoreboard.
how we will give our armed forces better pay, better housing and better kit, and I pay tribute to their commitment, bravery and selflessness. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in the House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Mike up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The party opposite gave up on law and order. They betrayed our country and let criminals run riot. Now, they desperately post wannabe superhero videos, shamelessly pointing at the problems that they created. But last week, Mr. Speaker, they had the chance to put it right. And what did they do? They voted against tough action on knife crime, on antisocial behaviour and on violence against women and girls. Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree that they should hang their heads in shame for failing to protect our streets?
Order. Spoke to government responsibilities, not the opposition. Let's come to Mel Stride.
Hold on. Here we go. It's stride time.
Mr. Speaker, it is a pleasure to stand opposite the Right Honourable Lady.
Oh,
Despite
I can't say the same
for
for looking at you,
pal. We have a great deal in common, not least that we both viscerally disagree with the Chancellor's tax policies. And it is great to see the Right Honourable Lady standing in temporarily for the Prime Minister for the second week running, although I know there are many sitting behind her who wish this was a permanent arrangement. Indeed, Mr.
How many Prime Ministers did the Tories get through in their 14 years? You know. Even, well, it was from technically the late 70s, wasn't it? 1979, Thatcher, right the way through to the late 90s. 2 Prime Ministers. The Tories' last 14 years in office. What have we got? Cameron, May, Johnson, Sunak. No, Truss, soon. It's like 6. 6. It's ridiculous. He might actually not be far from the truth, but it's pot kettle black stuff, that really is.
Speaker, you will find many of their names amongst the 122 who've signed up to oppose the government's welfare bill. They say that the bill is dangerously rushed and ill thought through. So can the Right Honourable Lady explain why she thinks that she is right and 122 of her own colleagues are wrong?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, first of all, Mr. Speaker, it's nice to face the latest wannabe at your dispatch box. I'll tell the Right Honourable member why we're pressing ahead with our reforms, and that is because we're investing £1 billion into tailored employment support, a right to try to help more people back into work, and ending reassessments for the most severely disabled who will never be able to work. Mr. Speaker.
What is it going to be? Something like, 300,000 people that are going to be affected. That's appalling. Appalling. You can't, stand there and barefaced tell the people that you're actually helping the disabled when you face a rebellion of 122 within your own party on the issue.
We won't walk away and stand by and abandon millions of people trapped in the failing system, left behind by him and his colleagues.
But that's exactly what they're doing.
Well, Mr. Speaker...
She sat down. Well, the tone of her voice was sort of mid-speech, but then she sat down. It confused me.
The Right Honourable Lady completely sidestepped my question. She can't even defend her own government's policy. Can she...
They're all, look, the blue on blue. It's just look at this collage of blue. Or is there a light purple in there? Maybe. Oh, what a rebel.
Can she at least assure the House that the vote on Tuesday will actually go ahead?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know if he sort of listened to what I said because I was reading off the script, but what I can tell him, and I don't need the script, we will go ahead on Tuesday.
Well, there you have it, Mr. Speaker. There will be a vote in this House on Tuesday on the welfare bill.
They literally had to set up a sort of crack team to ring up all of the people who said that they're planning on voting against the party, or the party line. And yep, phoning them all sorts of offers, bribes, threats, this sort of thing. This is the real sort of dirty shit that happens in politics, this kind of thing. Well, I'll let him carry on before I go off on a tangent about that.
Though many on the backbenches could be forgiven for thinking they've heard this before with the winter fuel payment, where they were marched up the hill, and we all know where that story ended. But, Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are absolutely clear. We will help her to get their bill through if they can commit to actually reducing the welfare bill and getting people off benefits and into work. Can the Right Honourable Lady make that commitment right now? Yes or no?
Well, if ever we needed a reminder of the party opposite having no shames, it's their demands for this bill, Mr Speaker. He demands a programme to help people into work, exactly what this bill does. After he left 1 in 8 young people out of the economy, he demands no new taxes from the party that raised taxes to record levels.
It's just a cut. It's a cut, and it's the disabled who are going to bear the burden. They're not going. Those who couldn't work before, they're not going to somehow magically be able to work. And we're talking about some people losing all of the PIP, some people losing a significant amount, 50%. Why always the most vulnerable in society? Why don't the rich shoulder the burden for the benefit of the rest of us? That's just awful. And it's illogical, as if by magic people who suddenly can't claim PIP find themselves, and it's not an out of work benefit either. There's this ridiculous, again, manufacturing of consent with a false rhetoric that it's some sort of out of work benefit. It's not exclusive to people who aren't working either. Just get with it.
He demands further welfare savings, Mr Speaker, from the man who was in charge as the welfare bill absolutely belittled. They say cut welfare bill, they failed. They say cut people in work, they failed. They say no tax increases, they failed.
Mr Speaker, I'm afraid the Right Honourable Lady has clearly not read her own legislation. The bill will see the number of people on welfare rising for every single year going forward. There is no commitment from the Right Honourable Lady to cut the number of people on welfare. And even if they manage to deliver these reforms, almost every respected economist now says tax rises are all but inevitable in the autumn. But after the budget, Mr Speaker, the Chancellor said, and I quote, "I'm not coming back for more taxes." Mr Speaker, British businesses have been hit again and again by Labour's economic mismanagement. They are desperate for certainty. So can the Right Honourable Lady give them that certainty now and repeat to the House the Chancellor's promise not to raise taxes at the budget?
They're both the same, of course. That's why these back and forths, which normally take place between Badenoch and Starmer, are just so awful to witness. You might as well look at two people shouting into a mirror at this point, because there's no difference. There's no difference apart from the name between the two parties. I guess you can throw Lib Dem into that to a certain extent.
Well, Mr Speaker, this is a bit rich. Unbelievable. Inflation above 11%. The biggest tax rises by their party. I take no lectures. And on this issue in particular, Mr Speaker, they can't make their minds up. First they said our reforms were taking too long, then they say they were rushed, then their front bench said our measures were too tough, and now they say they need to be tougher. No plan, no idea. I wonder why their party was left in such a mess.
Mr Speaker, the whole House will have heard that the Right Honourable Lady did not repeat the Chancellor's promise not to raise taxes. And Britain's businesses have today been put on notice. Tax rises are coming. Specifically, in her own area, despite Labour's promises to freeze council tax, the IFS says that the spending review will mean the biggest council tax increases in a generation, a £7 billion tax rise. And yet the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have repeatedly claimed that the government will not raise taxes on working people. So can I ask the Right Honourable Lady, why doesn't she think that council tax is paid by working people?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Again, Mr Speaker, I think they've got an absolute nerve when council tax rose every single year under their government. In Mr. Speaker, I had to turn down the Tories on the LJ who wanted me to take away the precept to make sure that they could raise taxes above the 5%. We've kept it there, Mr. Speaker, while delivering money for local government where they had austerity, put taxes up and ruined the British economy.
Well, Mr. Speaker, when you cut out the blather, isn't the reality that this Labour government has condemned us to higher taxes, more debt, fewer jobs, more pain for businesses right up and down our country? Borrowing up, unemployment's up, inflation
Are you on the phone to David Cameron or something?
up. Yet the Right Honourable Lady tells us the government's plan is working. It's not just me who isn't convinced, Mr. Speaker. The people behind her are not convinced either. And neither are the public. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I'm not even sure if the Right Honourable Lady herself is convinced. So can I ask her, isn't she just a little embarrassed to be defending policies she doesn't even agree with herself?
I think we're all pretty embarrassed that this is the state of our parliament, and I can see some similar sentiments being shared in the chat as well. We need to replace this absolute shower of garbage with a people's parliament via assembly and make it truly democratic. We need to rule out the corruption, we need to rule out the lobbying, we need to rule out these right-wing think tanks and a whole bunch of other ghouls along with it, because this is just so outdated. It really does beg a belief that we're still watching this in 2025. That is the system that we have, and these people who claim to represent us but clearly don't.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm embarrassed every week that somebody comes here from their opposition who doesn't apologise for the mess they left this country in. There was one party that crashed the economy and left.
It'll be a year next week, won't it, since more or less a week or so since Labour got into power, and they've been using that line and the other lines every single week at that dispatch box since they got in. The blame game, sometimes they are correct, but the amount of times that they try and fall back on it as an excuse for their likeness and, again, the barefacedness, when they imitate them so purely.
Families paying the price. We're putting working people first, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud. We've got a huge boost to the minimum wage, the biggest uplift to affordable housing in a generation.
Katie, yeah, I'd put you in the House of Commons. You can be the Speaker, actually, because I'm certain that you'd do a better job than Lindsay Hoyle, you know. I can't believe actually takes that position. I think Angela's about to harp on about housing now. Yeah. My long-term stance on that has always been, obviously, any sort of development has to be social housing. Can't favour the private sector. But also, just take a look at the amount of properties that are going to waste that could be used. And we've got a massive homelessness crisis in this country as well. The solutions are out there. They're right out there. But there's no politician in either the current government or the mainstream opposition that is at the moment who doesn't want to make policy without profit. You know, policies have to add value to a certain market or whatever that goes into the hands of a very small amount of people, this private profit, of course, and it's wrong, and it's sickening.
and expanding free school meals to 500,000 children. The Tories' choice, billions of pounds in unfunded tax cuts for the very wealthiest. We know where that gets us. It's the same old Tory failed approach. They haven't listened and they haven't learned
Can't
a
make
thing.
policies where kids don't need free school meals because they're very well fed at home.
Speaker.
Because they come
Braddock
from
Community
a
High School in
thriving
my
family.
constituency was forced to relocate to Washington after their just over 8-year-old building, built under the previous government, was found to have cracks in the infrastructure. This incredibly distressing news has required huge resilience and strength from the local community. So will my right honourable friend join me in paying tribute to the staff, to the parents, and most importantly to the students at Braddock Community High School, and join me in commending them for their hard work and dedication during this incredibly destabilising time?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I will do, Mr Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for bringing this important issue to my attention. I can only imagine the disruption and challenges facing the school community. One of the shameful legacies of the party opposite was to leave schools across our country literally crumbling. We're fixing that with £20 billion of investment in school rebuildings programme over the next decade to rebuild over 750 schools, Mr Speaker. And I know the Minister for Early Education will be happy to meet with him to discuss.
Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats, Stacey Cooper.
It's so formulaic you could almost make a game out of it.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And may I start by associating myself and my party with the remarks of the Deputy Prime Minister in calling for de-escalation in the Middle East, for the release of hostages and for the urgent aid to get into Gaza. We Liberal Democrats are opposed to the government's cuts to personal independence payments and carers' allowance. And with a growing rebellion on the government's own benches, it seems as though the government may be forced to push these cuts through with the support of the official opposition.
Yeah, and as they mention cuts, Morbius, you're making a great point in the chat there about the other place, the House of Lords, spending £9 million of taxpayers' money on a new door for the House of Lords, while they stand in that place, the House of Parliament, the House of Commons, and debate cuts to disabled people, cuts to the elderly, cuts to kids, cuts to adult students. Yeah, just all poor and vulnerable categories just completely and utterly slaughtered while they spend £9 million on the front door.
The Deputy Prime Minister knows that some of those affected are still waiting for justice after the carers' allowance scandal saw thousands of innocent carers hounded for repayments. So can the Deputy Prime Minister give a cast-iron guarantee that if these cuts are pursued, that at the very least, not a single person will lose a penny until the carers' allowance scandal review has been completed and the recommendations implemented?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, thank you for opening comments, Mr Speaker, and she knows that we've already been taking steps and those steps will continue on the carers' allowance. The welfare system, as she knows as well, is failing people. Labour are the party of work, but we're also the party of fairness. That's why our bill will deliver the largest permanent real terms increase to basic out-of-work support since the 1980s, invest in tailored employment support so that people can try work safely, Mr Speaker, and to ensure that those that can never work are properly supported.
Stacey Cooper.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's disappointing that the Deputy Prime Minister couldn't give that cast-iron guarantee, but if the government does pursue this bill next week, then we will pursue this matter on behalf of carers. Mr Speaker, given the reports that the government is giving a green light to President Trump's demands for a state visit to be brought forward to September, does the Deputy Prime Minister agree that the UK should urgently convene talks with the White House in advance of that state visit in order to leverage that state visit to secure US guarantees for Ukraine, including the use of frozen Russian assets, and to secure a joint UK-US message to Putin that together our two countries will not let Putin win his illegal war?
Deputy Prime Minister.
There's a lot in that question. But my take on the, one of the main things that stuck out about the Trump tariff thing and the bargaining of the second state visit that was, yeah, I'm really, really, truly revolted by that it is unprecedented. He'll be the, you know, I'm no royalist, obviously. But the fact that perhaps potentially managed to get us down to 10% tariffs instead of what the European Union tariff is going to be. And then, of course, you know, Brexit, you know, all the right-wing Brexiteers at least came out the woodwork and said, oh, look, we found a Brexit benefit. Oh, yeah, you really saw that coming in your crystal ball. It's one of the very, very worst things about all that. And we'll have to wait and see which way Donald completely fucks it up this time.
Well, I say, Mr Speaker, the UK government is always in discussions, negotiations and talks with our US counterparts. We're really pleased that the US President is coming for a second state visit, and we will continue to welcome in that vein, and we'll continue to have those discussions.
Debbie Abraham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In Oldham, there are 727 families currently living in temporary accommodation, 8,000 families on the waiting list. And this obviously has a devastating impact on particularly the children in these families. So will the Deputy Prime Minister outline how she will use the £39 billion that have been allocated to her department in the spending review to fix the housing crisis left by the opposition? So families in Oldham, Saddleworth and wider can get the affordable homes that they need.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, good question. Obviously, this stream is coming to you from the northwest. Oldham is one of the more deprived areas of the northwest, has been for some time as well. Angela Rayner is from the northwest, the member for Ashton-under-Lyne. And later on, I'll be talking about another particular MP from the northwest. In fact, can you guess who it might be?
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and as neighbouring MPs, we know the impact on the temporary accommodation situation and children being homeless it has on their life chances. And my honourable friend is absolutely right to raise the issue and for highlighting the excellent work, Mr Speaker, of Dr Laura Nilsson, who is supporting us to develop a cross-government homelessness strategy. All children should have a safe and secure home, and that's why I'm so proud that we've confirmed the biggest boost to social and affordable housing investment in a generation. We're getting on with the job of the mess they left behind.
Gavin Robbins.
Very much, Mr Speaker, and can I identify my colleagues and I with the comments around de-escalation in the Middle East? The Deputy Prime Minister, I hope, will condemn recent disorder in the streets of Northern Ireland, as the Prime Minister and indeed my colleagues have. Does she accept that the Windsor Framework, though sold to this House as an issue for trade, is fundamentally impacting the ability of this sovereign Parliament to legislate on a UK-wide basis on the matters of immigration? Will she commit to ensure this government continues to robustly challenge against that expansionism that is currently before the courts? And if not, will she legislate to ensure that we as a country can control our own borders?
Yeah. Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, first of all, Mr Speaker, I do condemn the violence on the streets, and the provisions in the Belfast Good Friday Agreement referred to in Article 2 of the Windsor Framework sought to address the long-standing and specific issues relating to
It's incredible how long, in one way or another, issues of, you know, borders and control this and control that border, whether it's on immigration or Northern Ireland, and especially throughout the Brexit period, if you want to call it that, as well, between the vote and the implementation, which went on for ages, didn't it? It really did drag. I remember being sick of hearing about it. So, yeah, it's just an observation of how much they bang on about it in one way or another. But usually, unfortunately, it's usually a right-wing issue, isn't it? Like with the reincarnation of Stop the Boats via, what's the one now? Stop the Gangs, whatever it is, just Stop the Boats version 2.0.
Northern Ireland's past. I hope the Right Honourable Gentleman is assured that we're appealing a number of the law relating to Article 2 of the courts, including the Supreme Court, and I hope he will also be assured by the reality that the government is consistently applied and enforced immigration law on a UK-wide basis, and the government will take all necessary steps to defend that position, just as we will remain committed to protecting rights across the whole of the UK, Mr Speaker, as it should be Parliament that makes rules on immigration.
Rebecca.
Yeah, just on that actual question, the issue itself, Morbius, another great point there in the chat. It was mainly the Unionists who were writing in Northern Ireland, I should say. Sorry, just bear with me one moment, people. Minor tech issue here, it won't affect anything at your end. Okay. We're good to go.
Long Bell.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Last night Newsnight covered...
It's RLB. It's Rebecca Long Bailey from Salford of the Right Honourable member Salford and Eccles, I believe. Yes. So, of course, a former leadership contender, Revelation people. I've mentioned it before, I guess, but I voted for her back when I was still a Labour member. She didn't make it through the first round, unfortunately, and then I didn't vote for anybody thereafter. I believe I wasn't entirely satisfied with the candidates that were presented in the further rounds. So yeah, another bit of Northwest England bias on the channel. Rebecca Long Bailey. Yeah, she's pretty sound, and obviously she once was suspended for sharing a Guardian article which Maxine Peake had written, where she criticised the state of Israel. So, yeah.
The Daily Mirror's 3-year investigation of the nuked blood scandal, in which thousands of troops had blood and urine monitored, even chest x-rays, during nuclear weapons tests, but the results were withheld from their medical records and their suffering denied for decades. So as a fierce supporter of these men and their families who she's met with me, will the Right Honourable Lady agree this Armed Forces Week that time is now of the essence? These elderly veterans deserve answers, justice and an apology.
Yeah, good question there from Rebecca Long Bailey. And I think there's at least a hint of irony there with this defence spending coming on Armed Forces Week. Now, Starmer might want us to somehow get patriotic about that, but are we just gearing ourselves up for another generation of disenfranchised veterans whose lives were put on the line for a senseless and morally grotesque cause? I really hope not. So let's see how Angela Rayner responds just before I go into that issue a little bit more.
Prime Minister.
Well, as my honourable friend said, Mr Speaker, I commend her for the campaigning work that she's done on this issue, and I have
She's
met
from
with
just
some of
down the
those
road,
affected,
you know.
and I know the strength of feeling on this, and I've heard their deeply personal testimony and experiences. I pay tribute to all of the nuclear veterans and their enduring contribution to our nation's security, especially during Armed Forces Week, and we're looking into unresolved questions regarding medical records, Mr Speaker, as a matter of a priority.
Ben Lake.
Mr Speaker, I should like to join the Deputy Prime Minister.
Yeah, Rebecca Long Bailey's not a communist. Yeah, she's a democratic socialist.
and thanking members of the Armed Forces community for their service. And, Mr Speaker, I've had the privilege in recent months of meeting many veterans in my own constituency, some of whom still carry the trauma of war. Some, including amputees, have told me how repeat disability assessments are too often required of them in order to access financial support. And so does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that veterans with life-changing service-related injuries should be exempted from repeat disability assessments in future?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, again, that part of the reforms we want to do is ensure that those that can never work are properly supported and not put through this endless assessment. And I thank the Right Honourable Member for raising the case. We are committed to renewing the nation's contract with those that we served, and a range of support is in place for veterans, including dedicated medical and physical health care, pathways in the NHS, employment and in housing. And the new support system, VALA, backed by £50 million of funding, will provide a network of support centres to connect veterans with local and national services.
Natasha Irons.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Successive Conservative governments stripped our councils of funding for youth services, pitting them against services with stronger statutory protections. This has led to 1 in 8 councils no longer having a youth centre, and in Croydon, London's youngest borough, is about to lose its youth engagement team and its last crumb of council-run universal youth provision. So can she outline what this Labour government is doing to support our young people? And does she agree with me that this is time again to look at statutory protections for youth services so that all young people, no matter where they live, can get the services they deserve?
Prime Minister.
Question.
Well, I can...
Look at what we inherited, though. The Tories stripped all the youth service. No, it's, you know, they're still in charge. I don't... Got to go and see Rachel Reeves about that sort of thing. I'm just filling in for Keith.
I completely agree, my honourable friend, that the party opposite left a trail of devastation across education and youth services, and given half the chance, judging by their moans, Mr Speaker, they'd do it all over again. We're making different choices, working with young people to draw up a landmark new national youth strategy, investing £145 million this year to provide stability to the youth sector, rolling out youth future hubs to expand access opportunities and reduce crime, and extending access to mental...
Excuse me. Rolling out is another phrase I'm really not fond of. As soon as that is said, it takes me straight back to COVID, and all I can picture is Matt Hancock's awful face there.
House support to nearly 1 million more children this year.
James McCleary.
Rolling out.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The government's expansion of funded childcare from September is welcome, but early years settings are facing a critical staffing crisis that could make expanded provision practically impossible. Not enough applicants, lack of qualifications, low salaries and high turnover mean that many nurseries are operating well below capacity. Many now find themselves operating at a loss due to increased national insurance contributions. So can the Deputy Prime Minister outline what clear steps the government is taking to address the crisis?
I won't rewind it. Saw in the background just went, what?
In early years staffing to ensure that all our children get the best possible start in life.
Well, Mr Speaker, first of all, I'll out that one of my kids is in the gallery and he's just completed his studies on early years, so hopefully that will add a little help to that. But look, we inherited a depleted early years sector, Mr Speaker, but we're determined to make sure that all children have the best possible start in life.
Well, yeah, kid. Look at how your mum's shitting on your generation with all of her pals. Great stuff. Yeah, come and watch it. Come and watch it from the gallery.
And that's why we're delivering the largest ever uplift to the early years pupil premium, boosting family hubs and Start for Life funding by £126 million this year, and investing £370 million to create tens of thousands of places in new and expanded school-based nurseries.
Chris Curtis.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Milton Keynes has one of the fastest growing tech sectors in the country, with 1 in 3 people now working in tech jobs at firms like Red Bull Racing and the AI company Amy. Now,
quick, everyone, to Milton Keynes now. Hope you can find your way through a roundabout. Although I do, of course, highly recommend public transport.
A student in my constituency is in the gallery today, so can the Deputy Prime Minister let her know, and this House know, how the government's new industrial strategy will support our tech sector and provide her generation with good quality jobs in the future?
Well, Well, I'm glad to see that I'm not the only one who's got a young person destined to feature in the gallery today. And my honourable friend's been a huge champion for Milton Keynes, and he's right. After the Tory decline, it's time to turn the page. We've already created 384,000 jobs since the election, and our industrial strategy will create opportunities across the country and invest in jobs and industries of the future, including in Milton Keynes, where the East Rail will help build 100,000 new homes and 6.7 million a year in the local economy.
Cameron Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 1957, my Tewkesbury constituent Ronald Clark was amongst 22,000 UK personnel exposed to nuclear testing on Christmas Island. These veterans and their descendants have suffered various cancers, crippling illnesses and deformities, but the MOD has never accepted liability. Noting the Deputy Prime Minister's response to her honourable friend, it doesn't quite go far enough. Time is running out. Will she meet with me, my constituent and these veterans to determine appropriate compensation?
The Prime Minister.
Well, again, Mr. Speaker, I know the strength of feeling, and I'm grateful to his constituent Ronald and all the service personnel who participated in the British nuclear testing programme. And I'm sure the Minister for Veterans would be happy to meet with him and the veterans to discuss this issue.
Serena Blackman.
Another reason why nuclear weapons are just absolutely abhorrent and they need ruling out. Wholesale, globally. Case in point right there.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Under the old guard of the Conservatives, families had to earn less than £7,400, often in low-paid and insecure work, to qualify for free school meals. But under this Labour government, thousands more children in Wolverhampton North East and 500,000 more across the country will benefit from free school meals. Will the Deputy Prime Minister outline how Labour's plans will put more money in parents' pockets?
Well, no, because if they did have money in the pockets, then they wouldn't have to rely on free school meals. Yes, it is benefit somewhat, but again, it's like so many issues. If you have a solution for the cause of the problem, as opposed to dealing with it retroactively, then that's clearly a lot more effective. And in a lot of cases, often cheaper as well. But no, it's going to turn out that, and I'm just spitballing here. I can't say that I've got any evidence for this. A couple of MPs also turns out that they've got families in certain catering businesses, and lo and behold, this exact same business is the one that's catering to the schools and getting their hands on government money. Would it be outlandish to imply that that'd be the first time we've ever heard of such a scandal? I think not.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we're determined to tackle child poverty, which rose catastrophically under the last government, and that's why we're expanding access to free school meals to more than 500,000 children. This will lift 100,000 of the poorest children out of poverty and put £500 back into parents' pockets. This comes on top of 750 free breakfast clubs worth £450 a year to parents, and a historic uplift in the national minimum wage worth up to £2,500 to the lowest paid workers.
What is it? Still like £12? Whatever it is. Starmer himself was advocating for £15 an hour for fast food restaurant staff way back in the 2010s. So they can't even keep up with a policy from, let's say, a decade ago. Now in 2025, it's not really anything to gloat about, is it? That wealth gap getting wider and wider, of course.
Given the Right Honourable Lady appears to be enjoying spending yet another week practising to be Prime Minister, maybe she can give us her view on who she would get rid of in the up-and-coming reshuffle. Would it be the Chancellor for killing economic growth? Would it be the Work and Pensions Secretary for the botched handling of the welfare bill and the winter fuel cuts? Would it be the Environment Secretary for trying to destroy British family farms? Would it be the Foreign Secretary for giving away British sovereign territory and paying billions to rent it back? Or given the Prime Minister is now polling as having the most unpopular first year in modern British political history.
He's going purple. He's going purple. Skip it back to just a few seconds previous. Just make a note of the colour of his complexion before I do that, people. Okay, you all got it? Just go back a little bit. This guy's going to go through the full frigging spectrum here. Starts off quite a pale white, and yeah, there is some obviously artificial lighting in this, but
maybe she can give us her view on who she would get rid of in the up-and-coming reshuffle. Would it be the Chancellor for killing economic growth? Would it be the Work and Pensions Secretary for the botched handling of the welfare bill and the winter fuel cuts? Would it be the Environment Secretary for trying to destroy British family farms? Would it be the Foreign Secretary for giving away British sovereign territory and paying billions to rent it back? Or given the Prime Minister is now polling as having the most unpopular first year in modern British political history, would she do herself and the country a favour and tell him to show himself the door?
Yeah, and then it went purple at the end.
Mr. Speaker, maybe he wants to go next week because it's been quite the carousel, and the leader of the opposition said she was going to get better week on week. She already has in the last 2 weeks by not turning up. And Mr. Speaker, I'm just wondering when they're going to give the Shadow Justice Secretary a go.
I don't think that joke landed as well as it was supposed to. Sorry, Angela. But thank you, Hedy, for another gifted membership. Let's add that to the total. Solidarity, brother. Support appreciated, as always.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud and honoured to say that I've served this country as a reservist parachute, which is why I'd like to thank and take this opportunity to thank all our service members and their families during Armed Forces Week. This Labour government has announced the largest sustained increase since the end of the Cold War. Will the Deputy Prime Minister set out how the government will rebuild Britain and secure our...
Good shot as well there, Eddie. You got Floor Snake with the gifted membership. Bullseye.
Our defence for the future.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable friend for his question and for his service.
National
He's
security.
absolutely right. Our armed forces represent the very best of Britain and put their lives on the line for us every day. It's our responsibility to support those who defend us, and we're delivering the biggest sustained boost to defence spending since the end of the Cold War.
Oh, apologies, I did nearly hit the button for deliver again. Thanks for that, Morbius. I wasn't aware of that. Apologies. So I'll amend the total to 102 for that second gifted membership. Thanks again for that one, Solidarity. Go on, Ange. Tell us all about it.
War. The Strategic Defence Review sets out our vision for defence, driving jobs and prosperity and renewing the nation's contract with those who serve to secure Britain into the future.
Oliver Dowden.
Come on, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a pleasure to be asking the Right Honourable Lady another question at Prime Minister's Questions, although this time just the one. There has been a proliferation of houses of multiple occupation in my constituency in places like Potters Bar and Bournemouth. Quiet residential streets like Tiverton Road and Organ Hall Road are being blighted by houses, quiet family houses, being converted into houses of multiple occupation, leading to a surge in antisocial behaviour and parking problems. May I therefore urge the Deputy Prime Minister to look at enhancing the powers of local councils to stop these kind of developments where they are not wanted.
What a NIMBY piece of shit question that was. Look at these impoverished, families that are forced to share space. And what can we do about it? This is outrageous. If this is, it really is causing a parking issue. If that's your biggest problem in the world, pal, then I don't know what to say. Katie, Angela Rayner is from Ashton-under-Lyne, which is in Manchester. Not too far from where this stream is coming to you from this evening.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I do miss our exchanges. I hope he's been wearing his Factor 50. He knows how it can get for us gingers in the hot weather. But he also knows, Mr Speaker, that local authorities have planning powers to limit the proliferation of small houses into multiple occupation.
Is that no, I might be gonna, It's not a racist joke, sort of. If one of them got up and went, well, I completely agree as a fellow white person, like, what the fuck? I don't know. That was a cheap shot.
And his government left a housing crisis. I'm getting on with fixing that with the 1.5 million homes that we're going to deliver.
The member for Clacton put a singular burning injustice first. The plight of overseas billionaires paying too much tax.
Clacton?
Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with his priority, or with me, that the Reform UK doing sweetheart deals with the super rich is a betrayal of British working people?
Well, Mr Speaker, I was asked about the member for Clacton's mathematics the other week, and my honourable friend is absolutely right. The mask has slipped again this week. The honourable member for Clacton demands billions more in unfunded tax cuts for the very richest, while he marches through the lobbies in the House of Commons to vote against sick pay for the lowest earners. We know who pay for reform tax breaks, Mr Speaker, for overseas billionaires, tax hikes on working people and patients being charged to see their doctor. Labour won't let that happen.
Some amount of time. Oh, maybe it's this button.
When my young constituent Axel was given his EHCP a year ago, his primary school place was withdrawn and no replacement offered. His nursery allowed him to stay on till Christmas, but since then, apart from a short break at a school, he's had nothing. He's at home with his mum, no alternative provision for younger children, and those young children can't travel a long way. His mother also can't go to work. So while I welcome the White Paper in the autumn, can the Deputy Prime Minister commit to Axel's mum, but also the parents of Freddie, Ewan, Ethan and the other 640 SEND children with no school to go, there'll be somewhere for them in September?
Well, they're not going to get the free meals, are they?
The Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'm really sorry to hear about Axel and the other cases that the honourable member mentioned. Those with special educational needs do deserve proper support and shouldn't be left at home. We're determined to fix...
Is that a phone? Right, prepare the gallows. I won't stand for this. This simply will not do. But Hoyle, get on it. Now, everybody outside to the yard. A telephone, a cellular mobile telephone going off in the House of Commons. Have you ever heard the like? Well, this will be front page Daily Mail tomorrow. Even Rachel Reeves has bothered to move. Such is the distraction. Who is that? So they're all looking to the left there, so it could actually be Lindsay Hoyle himself. Who is it? Who's the culprit?
The SEND system and support children before issues escalate to this type of crisis point. We're investing £3.4 billion this year to deploy specialist teams across early years and primary school settings, helping...
Are they not even going to... If that, was back in Andrew Burkoff's... not Andrew Burkoff. Burkow. back in his day, oh no, he'd have been all fire and brimstone because of that, and we would have heard a very well put 3-minute insult or jibe, I guess.
To identify
Whose
and
phone
respond
is
to
it?
speech and language needs, particularly for children with SEN, and we'll set out our full plans,
It's
Mr.
the
Speaker,
most
to the
interesting
reform
thing
of
that's
SEN
going
this
on
autumn,
in this
including
particular
support
period.
for early years.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Growth needs to be delivered and felt in all parts of the country, and the infrastructure strategy, changes to the Green Book and the 1.8 billion secured for the North East are a clear demonstration.
Sorry, people, I'll just go back 1 minute in case I was talking over all of Angela Rayner's response there, so might have missed her.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm really sorry to hear about Axel and the other cases that the honourable member mentioned. Those with special educational need do deserve proper support.
Billion secured for the North East are a clear demonstration of our commitment to that. In my area, Newark roundabout is blocking growth and is causing misery for people locally.
Andy,
Does the Deputy Prime Minister agree with me that improving infrastructure in the north, like at Moor Farm, will show how we are investing in all parts of the country?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, she's absolutely right, Mr. Speaker. The previous government didn't have a plan for areas like the North East, and I know she's been a champion regarding the Moor Farm roundabout. And this government is changing the situation by investing £15.6 billion funding for local transport projects across the country, opening up access to jobs and improving living standards, including in the North East.
Neil O'Brien.
Mr. Speaker, Labour have invited proposals from cities to expand their boundaries, and the Mayor of Leicester wants to expand the city to swallow up areas like Oadby, Wigston and Great Glen. But local people don't want this, and thousands of them have signed our petition against it. It's not just the higher council tax, they want to keep their own local identity. So will the Deputy Prime Minister rule out this totally unwelcome city takeover? And if she does want to press ahead with it, will she at least give us a say in a local referendum so that we can tell her again, we don't want this?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what they were told at the general election is they don't want you. Your government. You might.
Well, yeah, that was. That one didn't land too well either. They're still in Parliament, otherwise you wouldn't be having that conversation, would you? And you won't side with a Tory, of course.
I've slipped through. But the one thing I will say, Mr. Speaker, is the honourable member said about his own government. There's a lot of things we should have done. There's a lot of things we should do that we didn't do. And to be honest, I couldn't agree more, and we're getting on and doing it.
David Bailey.
In Armed Forces Week, will the Deputy Prime Minister join with me in paying tribute to my former colleagues at RAF Bryce Norton?
Yeah. Oh, okay then. So, is it going to come up? I was wondering if this would actually be raised, the PAL action, and the prescribement as well, because of what took place at Bryce Norton.
I know she will share my horror that some on the
Is it horrific? Is it horrific? Why don't you take a look at what's happening in Gaza, pal? Because that's real horror. That's real horror. Horrific. Oh, there was this jet engine. It had some paint in it. On the side a bit. Oh, the horror. Unspeakable. Really?
opposition benches responded to that appalling attack on that base, not by recognising the consequences of 14 years of Conservative underinvestment in our defence, but by personally smearing one of our brave members of the Royal Air Force. Shame!
They're all coming out of the woodwork now, aren't they? Yeah, and I stand with them as well, with Palestine Action. Clearly, come at me, bro. I don't care. They tried to get the group I'm with prescribed once, and it didn't work out. I'm hoping this one doesn't work out either. Let's see some supporting the chat, people. That's awesome. Palestine flags, thanks a lot for those. You know, the real terrorism is... well, it's a spoiler alert for later on. I was going to reveal this recent statistic now, but it has been revealed and unfortunately gone beyond my grimmest expectations. That is the number of people who are missing, probably dead, in Gaza is somewhere around 330,000, which is 1 in 6 people. That's the real horror. So why don't you acknowledge that instead of trying to vilify the very people who are calling for that to stop?
Does she agree
In a non-violent fashion.
with me and my honourable and gallant friend from North East Derbyshire that this Labour government will always support our armed forces, and that those shameful comments of Deputy Reform bring disgrace upon him and his party?
Well, Mr. Speaker, my honourable and gallant friend speaks with great authenticity and authority on this matter, and the attack on the RAF Bryce
Authenticitarianism.
Norton was disgraceful. But what was even more disgraceful is Reform blaming the commanding
I'm
officer
looking at an
and
absolute
accomplished
disgrace right now,
woman
Angela.
who has served her country rather than the criminals that were responsible. That's not leadership, Mr. Speaker, but we shouldn't expect anything better from the party of the Putin apologists.
What a sellout she's become. You know, this cuts close to home. I want to hear from anybody if you're part of any form of protest group. I personally am appalled. I'm appalled by this stance. How draconian is it going to get where protest is concerned? And if we don't stop them now, then they will run roughshod, and the next thing you know, all of your rights are gone. Bang. 100%. Thanks again for the flags. Solidarity as always with Palestine. Here on my left eye.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. London boroughs are collectively facing a funding shortfall of at least £500 million for the current financial year. But despite this, the money allocated to local authorities in London by the government spending review fell 35% short of the amount requested by London councils. Now, under the government's planned changes to local authority funding, the two councils in my constituency, Richmond and Kingston, are set to lose out even more while the cost of funding local services continues to rise. Is it the government's policy that London residents should continue to receive ever-increasing council tax bills while their local authorities have less and less money to spend? Thank you.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr.
That's, yeah. Richmond and Kingston upon Thames. I'll get on to Angela's reply in a second, but I owe, again, another shout out. Thank you very much, Graham Turner, for that super chat and the triple raised fist in solidarity with Palestine. I'm going to give that some immediate appreciation. Thank you very much once again, brother. Shout out for Graham Turner. Let's give some props in the chat, of course. So where were we? Yeah, deprived local services this time. Where was it? Richmond and Kingston. That's Kingston upon Thames, not Kingston in Jamaica. Just to be very clear. Jamaica? No. She went of her own accord. I don't know if I'll get away with that one. Anyway, as I was saying, Angela Rayner's very crap.
Mr. Speaker, what I would say is that we're fixing the foundations of local government after 14 years of austerity that was inflicted with the aiding and abetting of her party on local government in the past. We're putting record funding into local government and multi-year settlements to help them. We're helping local government where they ruined it.
Elsie Blundell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Digital black spots are...
She really couldn't be bothered there. She was still talking as she was sitting down, and it was pretty much just saying, yeah, you know, the usual crap, it's their fault, and look what we inherited, and 14 years of Tory government. Just like, absolutely not even phoning in her performance. What would be a more even outdated, like, telegraphing, Morse coding in the performance. It's going to just turn into a series of grunts in the responses now. Tories, inheritance, black hole.
Areas without good mobile broadband connectivity are holding communities back. In Middleton, an area my right honourable friend knows well as a fellow Greater Manchester MP, many local businesses and people remain cut off from the economic growth of the wider city region.
There's
due
a
to
very
lack of mobile
northwestern
signal. How can we
theme
make
to
sure that this
tonight's
government's
live stream,
mission
isn't
to capitalise on the promise of technology is felt in all parts of the country, including Middleton?
Middleton, which, okay, I'm going to keep saying this, which isn't very far away from where this live stream is coming to you from. You get the gist if you are familiar with Middleton. It's near Bury. If you don't know where Bury is, it's near Manchester. So, what was the question again?
In Middleton, an area my right honourable friend knows well as a fellow Greater Manchester MP, many local businesses and people remain cut off from the economic growth of the wider city region.
Technology. Well, we wouldn't be having this live stream. You know, again, slightly biased northwestern live stream that we're having tonight. But you wouldn't be able to have it without a computer, and that just happened to be invented in Manchester, don't you know?
Region due to lack of mobile signal. How can we make sure that this government's mission to capitalise on the promise of technology is felt in all parts of the country, including Middleton?
Which, of course,
Well, Mr. Speaker, she's absolutely right. I've had
some negatives to it.
Black spots as well myself, so I understand the member's frustration. I would say to the member, the industrial strategy was launched this week, and there are some great ideas, and now we make sure we get super fast broadband everywhere, and that we can all use our phone, Mr. Speaker, to make sure we can get...
Everyone gets broadband. Everyone gets broadband. Where have I heard that before? Sounds like communism to me. No, but if they mean some sort of nationalised broadband, which of course they don't, then I'd be all for it.
Connected when they left us disconnected.
Final question, Jeremy Corbyn.
Disconnected from
Thank you,
reality.
Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, 86 people...
yeah, who was it said in the chat that one of the only questions would be the final one. Slight spoiler alert, that was. But never mind, it doesn't matter. I think it was Guitar Guy. So this is the question. Let's hear from JC. At least we do know this is going to be good.
Were killed in Gaza by Israeli forces.
Yes.
A further 56 were shot dead whilst queuing for food to try to sustain themselves under the occupation of the Israeli forces. Israel stands condemned for acts of genocide, for war crimes, for their occupation of Gaza and their activities in the West Bank.
I'm
so
nodding
2 points
to
to the
people.
Deputy Prime Minister.
I'm nodding to.
Why does Britain still supply parts for the F-35 jets that have been used to take so much life in Gaza? And secondly, how is it that this country has got to this situation where we stand on the wrong side of international law when war crimes and genocide are concerned? So will she support my private member's bill calling for an independent inquiry into how our policies evolved into this parlous situation?
Brilliant point. Two-part question, the F-35 parts, and then of course the UK complicity as a whole, which I'll deal with. I just did quickly want to mention, whilst a lot of the world and the media has been distracted by the Iran-Israel conflict, some 800 plus Gazans died during that 12-day period, which is one of the latest shocking statistics on top of that 300,000 missing, presumed dead number that I mentioned earlier. So before Rayner dodges this question like the plague, the F-35 parts, yeah, I'm glad that that is still coming up. Some elements recently in PMQs have gotten repetitive for a negative reason or just a boring reason. That said, this being the last question means that we've got through PMQs without the Chagos Islands actually coming up for the first time in a while. But that's beside the point that I'm trying to make here. So on to overall complicity as well. That has to, of course, keep being pressed to Angela Rayner, to David Lammy, to Keir Starmer. The protests are continuing, the protests are growing on the street. We're seeing this on a weekly basis, we're seeing this on a daily basis across the world. So we stand, as always, with Palestine, and we have to keep pressing the politicians. We have to really, really turn up the heat on the politicians who are responsible from this, because as Corbyn said, the UK, that is being left on the wrong side of history. So I would imagine a short and dismissive answer about to come in from Angela Rayner. But before I do that, another shout out, thank you very much Hedy, for the solidarity with Palestine in the super chat. Thank you very much. Just giving that some appreciation as we speak. Marvellous, thanks again, Hedy.
Prime Minister. Well, Mr. Speaker, Israel's recent action is appalling and counterproductive, and we strongly oppose to the expansion of military operations, settler violence and blocking of humanitarian aid. We have suspended FTA talks and sanctioned extremists supporting settler expansion in the West Bank, and it's a long-standing principle, Mr. Speaker, that genocide is determined by competent international courts and not for governments, and we do not sell arms trades directly to IDF that might breach international humanitarian law.
Some flim-flam that you're putting up in the West Bank, not Gaza, certainly isn't going to help Gazans, but it's probably going to be immediately breached by Israel anyway. You need to go in fast, heavy and hard with this full embargo, full trade embargo, full and proper sanctions. Globally, we need to put them to account legally and organise proper reparations for the people in Gaza, the people who are left, because as I made mention a couple of times already, and I will keep mentioning it because as stats go, we're subjected to a lot of them a lot of the time, but 1 in 6 people surely, utterly, must, beyond the point now, be recognised as the G word, when 1 in 6.
Right, that completes Deputy Prime Minister's questions.
That was that, and that was the third 0-0 draw in a row? Wow. Staggering. Just like Angela Rayner's staggering response to that final question. The sheer ignorance will drive you mad. A no-score draw. So that being 3 times in a row, I'm not certain whether we should shift contenders, but I guess we'd have to get rid of both of them. can think of a couple of potential replacements, but I don't want to give that away just yet. Yeah, I thought we'd at least get a security. So I was expecting it to be a good session for security. You know, national security, social security, with welfare cuts being an issue as well. They're watching the streams. They're doing it. They're taunting me. No, I think that would be a bit paranoid. No, at the moment it's still just a blanket suppression of any alternative media that supports certain issues, Palestine included. Yeah. I don't think they're going that far just yet. Floor Snake, good point. Yep, they have a selective memory or selective knowledge where war crimes are concerned now. This that one, no. Oh no, definitely not. These ones were. These that are comparable or worse, definitely not. Have you seen my new expensive suits? You know, that's the way it goes. And there'll be different sets of politicians in decades to come, won't there? And what will they say about this period? Will they look back on it the same way as we look back on Iraq, which I can see Hedy pointing out there. Chris, yeah, they should give their answers in The Hague. But that's it, that's the point, isn't it? Because then, if they admitted that it is the G word, then they admit their complicity. It'd be like towards the end of a detective drama or series or something like that. The perpetrator accidentally incriminates himself. But they've got a lot of blood on their hands. So that was PMQs. Let me know what you thought about that. I'll remove the scoreboard from the screen. I'll think about that. I'll think about trying to change the candidates, possibly. Although then as soon as I do that, they'll probably go back to saying it all the time. Alright people, let me know what you thought about that session in the chat. I'm just going to take a quick drink here. I need to top up my cup. I'll be right back with you. Okay, let's move on, people. got some other stuff to skim through, sticking with the the Northwest bias theme. More from Manchester. Check out this latest poll. Well, you will be able to check it out when I actually put it there. It's from Find Out Now, which, yeah. But thanks again to Stats for Lefties for this one. Now look at this. This is Manchester Rusholme. If you know Manchester. Also known as the Curry Mile. But get this. The Greens are set to take the seat from Labour, who would be dropping 27 points, by the way. The Greens would only have to gain 3%, as you can see, to take the seat. But Reform surging up 20% as well. You can see it does look like some of the previous Labour voters would be going over to Lib Dem as well. So watch out, Labour, because no, we're not impressed by what's going on. And this is the other Northwest MP that I said I was going to mention. Of course, Glastonbury opened today, and Kneecap will be playing on Saturday. That's probably going to be worth a watch, definitely, because I'm hoping at least that they'll be calling out people like Lisa Nandy, yes, who I've had a bit of a pop at recently for other things, but I'll just call it like I see it, really. So, Nandy had this to say about Kneecap's appearance. Of course, currently on trial, similar to Palestine Action, on absolutely bullshit terrorism charges.
Lisa, you are the Culture Secretary. They are performing at Glastonbury. Do you think that the BBC should broadcast that?
Their performance?
Yeah.
Personally, and I say this with the understanding that as the Culture Secretary, it's not my job to tell broadcasters what they can and can't show on TV, because that would take us to a very dark place as a country. But personally, I don't want to see that on TV screens. I agree with the Prime Minister.
Well, then you be professional and say, well, then you can't be impartial, like you said about what people do and don't watch. Oh, but no, it's not something I want to see.
Minister very strongly. This is a band that has thrived on the oxygen of publicity, and as well as the terrorist offences, there have been very, very serious comments.
Oh yeah, it's well, it's the first ever musical act that has ever thrived off of publicity. Yeah, Kneecap pretty much invented it. Just the entire pop industry, more or less, is based on that. It's based on publicity. And now publicity within the music industry goes so far that artists have their own brands of clothing and perfumes and jewellery and accessories and shoes and all of this kind of shit. Okay? So don't come the publicity. Because, again, publicity in the capitalist framework surrounds so much. Even Labour's media department will do, or communications department, PR, will do publicity. And Starmer does publicity stunts. You're on the television right now trying to do a publicity stunt for your own fucking party. You're doing an appalling job at it, by the way. The less she's on TV, the better. Don't come that, Lisa. That's crap. It's bollocks. And there's probably certainly much more of a chance that people will want to watch Kneecap now because they know what they're about with Palestine and things like that, and they're obviously again appalled at the draconian stance that protest within art it's like the same as Palestine Action, you know, whether it's through non-violent direct action or whether it's within art. They come in at everything the same way. And first they came for the communists, and I wasn't afraid because I wasn't a communist, and so on and so on and so on.
That they've made encouraging attacks on elected members of parliament, not from my own party, but it is my job to stand up against that. It's horrific.
So you don't want the BBC to broadcast it?
I mean,
they're not advocating, like really truly advocating for violence. I know that they've had some lyrics and stuff, but again, this is not unique. It's prevalent in other genres as well, where there's a sort of, you know, suggestion, at least. And as Culture Secretary, it is massively irresponsible for her to say such things. Lisa MP's the Member of Parliament for Wigan, by the way, in case you weren't familiar. That's, again, not too far, well, within reasonable distance, at least from where this stream is coming to you from this evening. Anybody from there? Anybody from Lisa Nundy's constituency? Please do let me know in the chat or in the comments. Anybody going to Glastonbury? Yeah, I'd like to hear from anybody who's going. Maybe if you know, see if you can get the stream on the big screens in between some of the bands. No, but I think chances are that Morchara and Kneecap will have words to say about this pushback. That's happening against them, at least not Lisa Nandy specifically, of course, but the court case. And I'm going to go down for the next stage of that, just a reminder. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. So hopefully I'll be bringing you some exclusive stuff for that one, as well as, of course, the latest on the trial and the massive, incredibly impressive show of solidarity that's happening in the turnout. So you're getting all that right from the horse's mouth, as you do on occasion here on My Left Eye, because that's what we're all about. So that's pretty much what Nandy had to say. Just a quick one. Okay. I won't do the impersonation, but this is the latest from Pat. Oh my. Managed to resist. But it's not the Pat McFadden experience. And again, via association, just hearing him speak, just almost makes me imagine the, what do you call it? The theme music. Right, what have you got, Pat?
Your own impact assessment for these reforms says that 250,000 people could fall into relative poverty because of these changes, including 50,000 children. How comfortable do you feel about a Labour government pushing that many people into poverty as a result?
You know, talk about a lack of anything in the expression of somebody, and the voice matching that as well.
Of your cuts.
Well, it all depends on how people respond to changes, and alongside the changes that we're making on eligibility to the benefits is really important change in helping people into work. And the more people that we help to get into work, then the better their earnings will be, and the more sustainable the system will be in the future. So I think it's a good package, and I'm very happy to discuss it with colleagues in the week we've got between now and the vote.
You mentioned the fact that you're going to help people into work, but PIP is not an out-of-work benefit. Many people who...
Just Christ, I have a heart attack. Someone on the mainstream media actually said what we've all been thinking and pointing out.
Claim PIP are in work and say if you remove their PIP, they will no longer be able to work. That's the precise opposite of what you've just said you want to do.
Look, 9 out of 10 people who are currently on PIP will still be getting it in the future. A lot of the people who don't get it are out of work. Some are, as you say. But it's important to remember that 9 out of 10 will still be getting it, and that even after these changes, the welfare bill will still be rising between now and the end of the decade.
Well, firstly, that figure is disputed by those who campaigning.
So, you might have heard a soundbite going around the last couple of days that, which MP was it? It will come to me. It wasn't Pat McFadden. Someone else pointed out that the number of people voting PIP is equivalent to a city the size of Leicester, the population of Leicester, which is in the Midlands of England. But they were talking as though that would rise exponentially, as though, again, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people would be claiming it every year, until basically describing it as some sort of pandemic or virus, when that's not the case. A society is getting sicker by the conditions of, again, the capitalist framework, the neoconservative, neoliberal policies that we've suffered for so long. But that's not the way that it works, and those figures are absolute crap and indefensible, Pat, whatever you want to say. So they can't make that assertion, there's this massive upward curve, and that if they don't take away people's PIP, then what, eventually everybody in the country is going to be claiming it? Is that what they're insinuating? If it's left unchecked, air quotes. Ridiculous nonsense. I don't know how they expect us to buy this for just one moment
on this issue. But the point is, you're trying to help people to work, aren't you? And if people say if you remove this personal independence payment, they will no longer be able to work, you haven't addressed the problem.
We've got an extra 1,000 people a day going on to PIP. That's a city the size of Leicester.
Do you think
every
Well, you actually did it. Sorry, I didn't watch this clip the whole way through before I uploaded it, but Pat McFadden has now said it himself. Yeah, so okay, 1,000 people a day, and what they claim it or they get it. Just going back, I just need to be clear here. It doesn't. I'm going to make the same point in either case, but
that's a city the size of Leicester.
Do you think that those claims are illegitimate?
Right, claims. It was, so obviously a lot of those will be legitimate. They're changing the goalposts now. They're changing the parameters based on all of these different things about whether people are able to prepare food for themselves, dress themselves, how mobile they are, etc. a whole bunch of things to make people ineligible. Just, again, terrible. So, those 1,000 people a day aren't all going to be awarded PIP. Again, like he's insinuating.
Look, I can't comment on any...
It's balls, and I'm not just talking about the co-host.
...individual claim, but to comment on the system as a whole, as I say, 1,000 people a day, that's a city the size of Leicester going on every year.
Really got him riled up. Pat, I don't think I've ever heard you shout like this. Honestly, really, flying off the handle here. You know, I'll just repeat it again, but I nearly did an impression. You've got to check out the episodes for that, people. That's why they're there. Check out the Pat McFadden Experience. I've got half a script done for a new episode coming soon.
One new Leicester every year, not just this year, but the year after that and the year after that. And I don't think, as the party of Labour, the party of work,
it's everybody.
We can sit back and be relaxed about...
Yeah. And then after that and after that. No, that's not the way it works.
So many people going on to long-term sick.
That's pretty much it from that brief clip. Isn't he awful? Let's bring the music back. Yeah, Clive, good point. You know, it's on record. No, that wasn't actually a parody. Is that more a comment on how close parody is to real life these days, or the quality of the impressions that I mean the highly skilled professional whom we paid to do the interviews. Yeah. Hi Nicola, welcome to the stream. No, Leicester's population is hundreds of thousands. The point he was trying to make was that annually the equivalent number of people applies for PIP, so works out to about 1,000 people a day. There's not people in Leicester, not 1,000 people in Leicester across the country. Citation. Right, up next, people. Goodness, it is getting late, so we'll go across to the States. Just a quick thing about this one. Trump's latest batshit crazy post on Truth Social. So there's an ongoing election campaign, mayoral election campaign in New York City. And the Democratic candidate has been decided. Zoran Mamdani is going to be representing the Democrats in the mayoral election. And Trump and others on the right are up in arms about this, because they've certainly got the political compass mixed up. Just to sort of quickly explain, Zoran Mamdani, if he was a UK politician, you could probably liken him to, let's say, a Liberal Democrat, because a lot gets lost in translation across the Atlantic Ocean. Liberal in the UK, of course, means something far different than it does in the United States. So yeah, in the UK, obviously Liberals being on the right, as Liberal Democrats are, but this is what Trump's come out with, and talk about a knee-jerk reaction. It's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zoran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic. So he thinks that neoliberalism is communism. Okay. So he's won the Democratic primary. He's on his way to becoming mayor. He's not on his way to be. He's going to be the candidate. That doesn't really sound like a good show of support or an endorsement with a Republican candidate. If you think he's on the way. We've had radical lefties before. Oh, well, just you wait till I get my hat. Where are these people? I'll find them. They could be anywhere. But he adds, this is getting ridiculous. He looks terrible. Okay. This is Donald Trump, who we're talking about here. So we think Zoran looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart. Of course, remember, every accusation is a confession with narcissism. He's got AOC +3. Is that to do with, what is it, Alexandra Cortez? Plus, what's that? I don't know what that's referring to. Dummies all backing him, even our great Palestinian senator crying Chuck Schumer is grovelling over him. Yes, this is a big moment in the history of our country. It's a slightly big moment, but unfortunately not the first time. But not for the same reasons Donald Trump thinks. I actually think it's historically bad. Just, I mean, what is going on Truth Social at the moment? Honestly, it's an embarrassment. Well, it must be to Americans at least, anyway. So talk about crap in his pants, just because they voted on him winning the primary. I think he's sweating. I think he's sweating, people. Finally, just a bit on climate, actually. We're set to have, we're set to have a second heat wave here in the UK. Which isn't great. They're getting closer and closer together and more extreme, of course. Temperatures of over 30 degrees are going to be recorded in the south. One thing I did want to show you was what's happening meanwhile in France. Look at that. Well, sorry, it's gone sideways. I don't just mean the rain either. In the show. I think I can remedy this. Well, whatever angle, it looks really bad, you know, this crazy weather's happening a lot more often, isn't it? Scary times, people. Oh yes, il pleut indeed. Right, people, another shout out to the members on the channel. Thank you very much for the gifts on tonight's stream. Sticking above the 100 goal yet again. So Solidari-Tea for that. And I'll update the list for the next stream. Plenty of ways to support the channel though. First and foremost, you can make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Share some of the channel's content around your social media. And if you're watching back later on, there's a super thanks are available, and there's a buy me a coffee page in the channel description. My heartfelt thanks to every single member once again. And that will bring us towards the end of the stream, but I do advise sticking around. Let's just see if we can raid in somewhere. Let's see what's happening. We've got this space again. I think they were live earlier, so that's yeah, really long live stream. It started at 7 o'clock and they're still going. Not bad. Endurance. Okay, so we'll pop over there for a little bit. Let's say hello when we get over and give them a thumbs up as well, people. Drina, good to see you in the chat. He'll be yeah, just that the French Storm video. Yeah, good point there, Clive. Just press the thumbs up button once, otherwise you'll accidentally unlike the stream. We don't want that. Oh no. Okay, so I'll be back with you here later on in the week as well. Keep your eye out for notifications and whatnot about upcoming streams. I will see you over on that space, which is this space, in just a moment. But if not, then take care, everybody. My Left, I'll be seeing you soon. Good night. Free Palestine. Power to the people.